Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Breathe Motivation. So glad to be here with you this week. My name is Anthony Hester. I'm the host for this show. I hope you guys are having a great week. I hope you guys are having a great Friday. It's the weekend, so I know it's going to be fun for you guys. I hope you guys have great plans. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I can't tell you how appreciative I am that you guys come and listen to this show. You guys ask questions. You guys are so involved in this show, and it's really, truly amazing. So thank you guys so much. I really do appreciate that. So let's talk about some risk today. So let's start off with the definition. The definition is risk. So it's a situation involving exposure to danger. So in life, there's so many things that we go through. This week, I've told you guys about anxiety and all that stuff, and I had a little bit of anxiety creep in where I was actually having a little bit of anxiety attacks, and it's kind of interesting in how they kind of rear their ugly head in, and it's one of those things you start to question. For me, it's more of questioning the future and, questioning, the present and what am I doing? And I think a lot of times when we go through life, we are going through like almost, this process of trying to be the best person we can be, right? That's our goal, is to, have purpose and passion in everything we do on a day-to-day basis. And when I go through life and I'm looking at life and what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis, sometimes I feel like I'm not moving, or I'm not taking chances on things that I think I really should be doing. And I think that's something that we almost settle for less than what we should or what we deserve to do. And I think it comes down to one thing: we've got to be able to take a few risks, right? I think when we think of risks, we think everything is kind of, you're going to put yourself in danger. You're going to, fail. That's the big word that I think a lot of people have in their mind when they go to do something new. They don't want to risk anything. They don't want to risk, failing. They don't want to risk, that person not telling them back that they love them, or, hey, you're going through this process and, all of a sudden you don't get that job that you really want, right? And that can make life feel, very empty. You're not, fulfilling what you want to, or, things aren't happening. And what I've noticed is, when anxiety starts to kind of creep back in my life, it's, there's something off balance. And, I like to think of myself as a risk taker. I like to take risks in things that I think that are going to help me to be more successful. And I've noticed lately that I haven't taken some of those risks, or, I haven't, continued to follow through with some of the things that I think that I'm going to be successful in. And that's when it really starts to creep. The anxiety starts to creep up, or that panic starts to creep up, because I'm so fearful of just living an ordinary life. And it's not necessarily, it's almost kind of a weird process, when we say ordinary. I want to live an extraordinary life. I want to be able to provide a great living for myself and my family and my wife and, our puppies and all that good stuff. And, you kind of, and that's kind of that perfectionism kicking in. But when you look at life and what you're doing, we only have one life to live. So there's so many things that we don't take chances on. We don't take risks on because we think that they're too scary. And naturally, our body is in our mind are going to tell us, hey, don't do that. It's going to, be, a scary process. We can't do that. You're not safe. But you've got to be able to have like an override button and hit that override button and say, hey, you know what? It might be risky, but I know that I can be successful if I follow through with the action. I have the skills available to be able to take care of business and be able to grow and learn and get better. That's the only way that we get better in life, is to take some risks, take some chances, and really focus on what we want. When you start to focus on the things that you want and what you want to happen, and you start to put in the effort and take the action, guess what? Things start to happen. It's kind of a weird process. And, I think some people kind of look at it and say, oh, well, it's kind of weird. So one of the biggest things I look at is kind of like the law of attraction. A lot of people, I'm sure you guys have heard of it, but, what you think is what you get. And, it might sound a little weird in how that works. Some people are like, oh, if I dream of a big house and I visualize this big house, I'm going to get a big house. And it's not necessarily that that's going to happen overnight, but when your mind is focused on what you want to accomplish. So if I created a dream board one day, and I told myself, hey, this is what I want to accomplish, this is what I want to do. I visualize myself in it. It creates this kind of action that I want to take, and it creates this, it gives me this confidence in my mind that, hey, I can accomplish this, I can do this. So law of attraction, it's kind of debatable if it's something that you can get, right, or something that actually works. But from my experience, I know that if I visualize things, it's kind of weird. When I go into, when I was doing my football in high school, for whatever reason, I was sitting, getting ready for the state championship game. And it was weird. I was just visualizing. I kind of got in this zone, and I was listening to music, and I was just visualizing the game. And it's almost like it played itself out the way it was in my mind. And I was just so focused on being successful. And I had the game of my life, right? And I'm not necessarily saying that that was because of the visualization, but I know that that really created, this idea, this sense of urgency within me to be successful. And it created this confidence within myself that, hey, I can do this. So you just know that you can do anything that you want to, and it gives you that confidence to be able to go with what you want to in life. So I challenge you to really start to take chances, to really start to take risks. When I start to get that anxiety, I know it's because I'm really hard on myself. I'm battling that perfection, right? Hey, I'm not really accomplishing what I want to. Take a second. I had to take a second and say, you know what? At the end of the day, you're working towards great things. You've got to be a little bit patient and know that this is going to work out as long as you do what you know you need to do. And that's taking some risks, taking the chances and the opportunities to be better. And when you start to do that, guess what? That fear starts to go away. That big old cloud of fear starts to kind of break up, and then you start to see a clearer vision. So I would, this week I took some notes, and I would, in the morning, I write, some notes kind of about my experiences, what I'm feeling and why I'm feeling that. And it helps me to discover why I'm having these issues. And that's something that you're able to do. If you want to be able to be successful, you've got to be self-aware. You've got to be able to look at yourself and say, hey, here's what's going on. I'm very fearful of this. And why, and you kind of get to that root cause. So I was like, I'm getting this anxiety. I'm stressed out. What's going on, right? So I'm stressed out about work, but I also want the opportunity to be able to grow elsewhere in my personal life, right? So I was like, what am I doing? Where's the balance? How do I find the balance? And in the sales environment, that was a big thing for me, is like, hey, I'm not making as many sales. So I'm very naturally hard on myself. And I say, hey, I'm not making as many sales. What am I doing wrong? And a lot of times it's not that you're doing things wrong, but maybe you just need a little shot of confidence to be successful and really just not care. And it sounds funny, but when you stop caring so much about finding the perfect solution, things will start to open up. You'll start to be loose. You'll start to feel a lot better. And when you are loose and you're, not worried about having to make a sale, you're not like almost desperate, I guess, to make sales, things open up. And I've started to make more sales this week because I'm just loose. I'm loose. I'm using the skills that I have. I'm using the abilities and the skills that I've learned. And guess what? I'm making more sales because I'm not as desperate or worried about, great, what happens if I don't do this, right? Comes back to what ifs. So don't worry about the what ifs. Well, if I apply for this job and I don't get it, then what? What happens? That's the job I really want. Guess what? There's another job out there for you. So you need to be able to take risks, take opportunities to grow, get better, get outside of your comfort zone. Apply for that job that you've always wanted. You'll be surprised. You might get that job, right? Or if you don't get that job, guess what? It's a learning experience. You get that exposure to that company. And guess what? Maybe, 6 months down the road, that person calls you and says, hey, you know what? You applied with me, and I have this position for you that I think you'd be perfect for. And guess what? You wind up in a job that was better for you. Or same thing with, the process of starting a business. For me, it was a risk to start a business. I'm working full time. I'm working on growing a business, but I'm putting in the time to something that I enjoy doing and finding that balance. That's what you've got to do and really be focused on. So continue to take some risks, take some chances, and seize the opportunity that you guys get. We only have one life to live, and you can't change that, right? At the end of the day, there's two guarantees. You're going to live and then you're going to die, right? So what are you going to do within that time frame that you want to do to be successful and just do it, right? The risks are definitely worth it. Obviously, you want to be smart about some of the risks you take and know what's reasonable and what's not reasonable, but take some risks. That's the only way you're going to find that purpose in your life, that passion in your life. Start to take risks in the things that you enjoy doing. So go apply for that job. Go start that business. Reach out to a friend or family that you haven't talked to in a while, or do things that you feel like you can't do, and watch the abilities. Once you start to take a step towards what you want to do, you'll start to find the resources, you'll start to find the things, and know that you can be successful. So let me leave you with this quote. If you are not willing to risk the unusual, you will have to settle for ordinary. And that's Jim Rohn. So go out there, be the best you can, take some risks today, and find success within you. Find that purpose of why you want something. Take some notes, really look at what you're doing, and I guarantee you'll find success. So follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Breathe Motivate. Check out my website, breathemotivation.com. You can email me, anthonyhester@breathemotivation.com. I love hearing from you guys, and you guys help inspire this show. So continue to reach out to me. I love talking with you guys. I love coaching you guys. And if you guys would like some coaching, feel free to reach out to me, and we can have a conversation on the phone. How does that sound? So that is great. Let's continue to focus and be the best we can be. And as always, remember to breathe motivation and exhale success. I will see you next week. Thanks.